Hi and welcome everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about chronic homelessness, because I've been chronically homeless for about 25 years. So I can kind of give you a little bit of an inside scoop of not only what it's like, but what the effects of long-term homelessness and chronic homelessness does to an individual. Because when you're growing up and you're used to having a roof over your head, you're used to being able to take a shower every day, you're used to being able to go into a cupboard and grab whatever you want so you can make food for whatever you want. And you get used to that growing up. And then when when you right as you turn 19 years old, uh, you have a life-altering injury that happens that now makes you homeless. And the problems that I have seen out in the homeless world, being chronically homeless, is that with the mental health system is broken. They're too busy trying to give people pills, give them major diagnosis, get funding, stuff like that. So everybody that walks through their door has to be a dollar sign. Instead of actually sitting back and trying to help the individuals, you have people that are the most vulnerable that are being exploited by the homeless industrial complex. And another thing that I have seen in my long time of being homeless is that the shelters there, you'll find some good shelters here and there. There are good shelters, but those are usually the ones that everybody says are strict. Well, you know what? It's almost like a Lord of the Flies situation where when you go into these shelters, if there is no order, no structure, all of a sudden the children are running and it's not pretty. That's why you hear people say that it's dirty, it's dangerous, it's too much of a hassle. I'd rather sleep outside. Is because a lot of these shelters don't have any organizational structure, either because of internal or external corruption, for whatever reason. And so being homeless, often on the streets as often as I very rarely stayed in a shelter. I stayed in a shelter for a good 2 months when I was in Chattanooga this time, but I generally never stay in a shelter. The one in Chattanooga was decent, although there was some backward things that were going on there. For what it offered and the structure in which they had, it was actually a decent shelter to go stay in compared to most. And those are just some of the problems that we have. And so a lot of people say, hey, well, why can homelessness ever be fixed? And um, the thing is if homelessness were to be fixed, that would mean guys like me would have would no longer need to be on the streets. But what is the long-term ramifications of being on the streets? Somebody asked me, well, don't you just want four walls? The longer you're out here, the more four walls is more like anxiety to you. The longer that you're out here, having certain things is foreign to you. Like being able to have cupboards and food storage and all that stuff, it's going to seem odd. It's going to seem weird. Not even, almost like imposter syndrome. But but the thing is, you already know that it's going to be short term. It's not going to last very long because you've already got a proven track record that you're going to be out on the streets. And there's various reasons why it happens, but those who are generally chronically homeless also suffer from some sort of brain injury. My brain injury came before or before my chronic homelessness, or excuse me, after my chronic homelessness. I didn't have a brain injury, unless you consider PTSD to be a brain injury. I really didn't have a brain injury, but I kept falling on my face because the mental health system never really wanted to do anything to help. They were too busy misdiagnosing me, trying to get me on this pill and that pill and all these pills, and having allergic reactions and having things Like, they gave me Seroquel for sleep, and I damn near passed out walking down the street because it was so strong. They didn't even taper me in. I mean, just the malpractice that goes on and towards the homeless, because those are bottom of the barrel people who a lot of the times, could barely pass school, and so therefore they go get a government job, and now they're helping the homeless. There's very few doctors that are like top-notch doctors. Some of them do become top-notch, but most of them don't. But a lot of things has also changed in the years, being chronically homeless as well. It's a lot safer to be out on the streets than it used to be. The police are not as aggressive as they used to be. With the Grants Pass case, it's basically sending us back to the same way it used to be. But for a short period of time, the homeless got a reprieve. And here's the tough fact is that out here you're always on the move. You're always packing up your camp. You're always putting down your camp. You're always on the move. You're always living hand to mouth. You're always, going from place to place. And you're doing it for resources, and you're doing it for other things, for whatever it is that you need. And whether it be food or clothing, supplies, anything like that. And so therefore you get stuck in this endless cycle. And then, think about going to get a job and having to live through this endless cycle. A lot of people think, oh, well, you can go get a job and you'll be off the streets. Well, a lot of these shelters are really not helpful if you have a job or if you want to go get a job, because that means you're not going to need their services. So they're too busy catering to the lowest common denominator. So you try and go get a job, you can't, or you do, and you are struggling the whole time. And after you've lost everything a few times, it becomes to a point where you're like, there's no point in trying to fight to get up off the streets. And that's when you start embracing it. It usually happens like your fourth or fifth time out, is when you finally start embracing it, because you're like, I'm going to end up being out here. Now it becomes by choice. And so therefore, I'm just going to choose to be out here and make the best of the situation in which I live in. And then all of a sudden you got, let's say some windfall happens, and now all of a sudden they want to house you. Well, now you're going to be doing just as in the same way that all that mental anguish and anxiety and stuff like that was geared towards what happened while you went through this whole long-term chronic homelessness. Now all of a sudden you've got to undo all of that programming. And this even works for people getting in and out of jail, because jail makes you feel like a caged animal. It sends you back to primal instincts, makes you more tribalistic, it makes you more aggressive. And so therefore when you get out, because you're still stuck in that line of thinking, it makes it very, very hard to be able to function and become an integral part of society, because you're still stuck in that lifestyle versus understanding things change. And once you spend so long in the system, whether it be homelessness or jail or whatever system that you're in, you become institutionalized to it, to where you know nothing different, and anything different from that becomes foreign. And so a lot of people ask me, it's like, well, why don't do you want to get up off the streets? It's like, I would like to have some comfort. Like, I'd like to have a piece of property that I can go stay on, but am I going to build 4 walls? I might do a cabin for winter, but unless I feel comfortable enough, it will take a long time of doing some deprogramming just to be able to get me comfortable to go back inside again, especially after being outside for 2 years, and been doing this off and on for 25 years. There comes a point when you accept this as your reality and you just keep on going. And so for those of you that would like an insight onto what chronic homelessness is, what it's like, what the experience is like, it is in its own way mental deterioration and degradation. It is the erosion of the human being back to its primal instinct into more of a feral human being. Some people allow it to take them much further than others. Just like you have police officers that go do things within the community to keep their humanity. as a homeless person, whether you're getting out of jail and trying to get rid of the jailhouse mentality, or you're homeless and you're trying to get out, or not really get stuck in the homeless mentality, because both are toxic to you being able to integrate back into society. It's going to create problems, and so therefore you create ways to be able to keep that humanity. Hence, the reason why I do YouTube, and I'm having the success and the proper things that I need. This is something that I look forward to, and I've used as a way to not only keep my humanity, so that if I were ever to get housed, or at least socially, I would be able to integrate. Even though emotionally and mentally I may have issues integrating back into society, at least being able to have that point to where I can, if at any time I get housed up, I can still go back out into society and integrate to a point where I'm not constantly in that aggressive primal instinct where I'm acting as a feral human being. Because the longer that you're homeless, and the more often that you're homeless, the more primal, the more feral you become as a human being. And I think that is really the injustice that is being done to the homeless population, is the constant erosion of the human being into our primal instincts, all the way back to just the way it began. And to be able to take a human being that has access to all of this and to grind them down to that, what is society's benefit? Is it the scarcity? Because, well, we have people that can't afford homes, so therefore, a home is more valuable, so therefore we can raise the price on it. Oh, well, the air, it needs to be cleaned, so it's more valuable, so we need to raise the price on it. Your water, it needs to be done with this because we contaminated it, so we need you to pay to clean it, so therefore it's going to cost you this. Okay, it comes to a point where society is profiting off of the basic survival of a human being. And part of what the whole New Deal was to allow the human being, the citizen. This is the way communism was before it became really full-on Marxism, which was the resources belonged to the people. It was the government's job to protect the people's resources from exploitation by foreign and domestic entities to unjustly enrich themselves or whatever. Okay, but yet now we have this happening, and it's like all of those laws over time got erased, and we've lost all of our basic protections that would allow us a better way of living by not exploiting the very things that we need to survive. So I hope this helped you get a better understanding of surviving long-term homelessness and what it's like being chronically homeless. I hope that I see you in the next video. Everything that you can do to help is down in the description. So if you want to, there's memberships, there's affiliate links, and also you can become a subscriber. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think I left out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.